A very good evening to all pious yogis and volunteers of the retreats. This evening we shall continue to discuss about the practice of Metta Bhavana, loving kindness meditation. Meditators shall continue the practice of loving kindness until tomorrow evening. When meditators practice loving kindness meditation, they may encounter two kinds of enemies to the metta. The first kind of enemy is known as a dosa. Dosa is translated as hatred in English. It also means aversion, anger, dislike, and so on. Two different mental states cannot arise at the same moment.
ในเวลาเดียวกัน
When there's this mental state of dosa arising, at that moment there's no feeling of metta or thoughts of metta. When there's a arising of thoughts of metta, the previous mental state of dosa would have disappeared. But when the concentration is not yet deep and powerful enough, meditators cannot see that this mental state of dosa had been replaced by the thoughts of metta. So when your concentration is getting deeper and more powerful, so when there's a thought of loving kindness arising, the previous mental state of dosa will disappear immediately. The second kind of enemy to the metta is known as the pema. Pema means love with attachments, or selfish loves, or possessive love. Pema is one of the mental defilements or kilesa. So this pema is a kind of defilements or kilesa. That's why it can also lead to suffering. Pema or love with attachment always involve, for example, the opposite sex. Love also involve, for example, the love of parents towards the children. So sometimes it leads to attachment. So when there's attachment involved, then the mind is no longer purified, or in other words, the mind is defiled. But metta is totally different from pema. Metta leads to metta is a wholesome mental state that will lead to arising of a joy, happiness, peacefulness in the mind. And metta also can be practiced as a support to the practice of vipassana meditation. So metta will not cause any kinds of suffering, any kinds of frustrations or disappointment. But pema can give rise to suffering or frustration, disappointments, and other kinds of emotional mental states. It's like a man who loves a lady. If the lady does not respond, the man could feel frustrated, a lot of frustration. So when you practice loving kindness, you have to be careful of these two kinds of enemies. if any objects of loving kindness causes these two kinds of enemies to arise, then you should put aside that object of loving kindness. So you have to begin with the good objects of loving kindness that enable you to develop your mental state of loving kindness or the thoughts of loving kindness. When you could keep on practicing loving kindness again and again, when there's a progress in the practice, then eventually you could overcome these two kinds of enemies. The commentary that there's Visuddhimagga classified the individuals into four groups of four categories. In our real life, we come across with different kinds of individuals. We come to contact with different kinds of different groups of people. There are individuals whom you respect, or there are individuals whom you love dearly. There are individuals whom you indifference to their suffering and do not share happiness with them. There are individuals who are very unfriendly to you or not friendly to you, always give you troubles and so on. There are those individuals whom you dislike. Maybe that individuals had offended you in the past. So we should practice loving kindness to all these individuals. Without we do not leave out any of them. But if we are beginners in the practice or not yet successful in the practice of loving kindness, then you may find it difficult to practice to a person whom you dislike or not friendly to you. For example, if you think of an enemy at this mind, for example, if you think of an enemy, then how do you feel? There could be a feeling of anger or aversion and so on. So when there's a feeling of anger arising, then you do not feel happy anymore. There's no more purity in the mind. So we need to overcome these defilements or anger or hatred or in other words dosa in the mind. So we say that dosa is the far enemy of the metta or distant enemy of metta. So sometimes you may have enemies in your life, but those enemies outside you, when you compare with the dosa arising in your mind, which one is more danger? Which one is more danger when you compare the enemies outside you and the dosa arising in your mind? Or which one is more danger? Dosa. Dosa is the internal enemy. So that dosa can cause you to commit evil, or that dosa can cause you to take birth in the apaya world again. So that's why we meditate to purify the mind. In other words, we meditate to remove all the internal enemies. The internal enemies such as dosa or lobha, moha, or is the real cause of suffering, or the actual cause of suffering. So during the practice of loving kindness meditation, you may have to begin with the good objects of loving kindness, or for example a person whom you respect, or a person whom you love dearly. In accordance with the teachings of the commentaries, the best object to start with is a respected person or a person whom you respect. A respected person could be your meditation teachers, your Dharma teachers, or a good friend who is endowed with Sila, Samadhi, Panya, and so on. Or a person or a friend who has helped you a lot in your life, and you feel much grateful to them.
บางคนก็มีบุญคุณกับเรา
But before you begin to develop the thoughts of loving kindness towards any objects, you should practice loving kindness for yourself. The purpose of practicing loving kindness for oneself is not to gain any concentration, but the purpose of practicing loving kindness for oneself is to serve as an example, or to take oneself as an example. Everyone in this world love himself or herself. To him or her, life is very dear. So if one rightly understand the truth of life or the facts of life, one should not harm other beings. One should not also harm oneself. So if you wish to live happily, so do other beings. So meditators should always begin the practice loving kindness for himself or herself, especially during sitting meditation. You may decide yourself what mental wish you want to make, what mental wish, or what metta phrases you want to say.
กับตัวเอง
For example, there are many different mental wishes: be well, happy, peaceful, or be free from suffering, be safe always, be free from worries and anxiety, and so on. So meditators may choose one or two or the most 3 mental wishes. The mental wish should not be too long. For example, if a meditator has a long mental wish, may so and so be well, happy, peaceful, be healthy always, be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering, be free from worries. So that mental wish is quite long. It's not good for the concentration and to develop the thoughts of loving kindness. So meditators may choose a shorter mental wish. For example, may so and so be well and healthy always. May so and so live in peace and happiness. May so and so be well and healthy always. May so and so live in peace and happiness. So meditators should not focus the attention on the words. They should be aware of that mental wish as a thoughts of loving kindness. They should be careful that they are not doing chanting or recitation in the mind. So in other words, metta bhavana, loving kindness, is not mental chanting or mental recitations. You must give attention to the objects and wish the objects sincerely, be well and healthy always, live in peace and happiness. So you have to put forth mental effort to develop the thoughts of loving kindness by wishing the objects again. For example, when you wish an object, may so and so be well and healthy always. That mental wish represents a good thoughts of loving kindness, a wholesome mental state. So that good thoughts reflect back on you. In other words, that object becomes a condition for you to develop your own wholesome mental states of loving kindness. So in other words, if there's no object, for example a person or group of people, then there's no condition for that mental wish to arise or the thoughts of loving kindness to arise. That's why the object of loving kindness must be a living being, or a person who is still alive. Loving kindness meditators can never take a dead person as an object of loving kindness. So meditators begin the sitting meditation by practicing loving kindness for himself or herself. For example, may I be well and healthy always. May I live in peace and happiness. May I be well and healthy always. May I live in peace and happiness. Wishing oneself again and again, for example, between 3 to 5 minutes. Then you may have to choose an object, for example, your mother. So at the beginning, you may use the way of comparison in order to arouse the thoughts of loving kindness. So what's the meaning of using the way of comparison? So in the verse, you may develop the thoughts of loving kindness in this way. As I wish to be well and healthy always, living in peace and happiness. I also wish my mother be well and healthy always. May my mother live in peace and happiness. As I wish to be well and healthy always, living in peace and happiness. I also wish my mother be well and healthy always. May my mother live in peace and happiness. But this way of developing loving kindness may not be conducive to concentration.
No.
This way of developing loving kindness may not be conducive to concentration.
Concentration?
No, may not be conducive to concentration. But it's helpful to arouse the thoughts of loving kindness, to develop the thoughts of loving kindness. You may practice loving kindness using the way of comparisons for a few times, for example 5 or 6 times or 7 times. So as I wish to be well and healthy always, living in peace and happiness, I also wish my mother be well and healthy always. May my mother live in peace and happiness. You may develop the thoughts of loving kindness towards your mother in this way for about 5 or 6 times or 7 times. Then you stop the way of comparison and wishing your mother directly, or may my mother be well and healthy always. May my mother live in peace and happiness. May my mother be well healthy always. May my mother live in peace and happiness for let's say nearly 10 minutes and so on. Then you may change to the next object. For example, your father or respected teachers. Then you can start with the way of comparisons again. For example, as I wish to be well and healthy always, living in peace and happiness, may my teachers so and so be well and healthy always. May my teacher so and so live in peace and happiness. You should make the mental wish neither too slow nor too fast. If you make a very fast mental wish, For example, may my mother be well, healthy always. May my mother be well, healthy always. Then you may not able to develop the thoughts of loving kindness. You are merely doing chanting your mind. If you do it very slowly, it may lead to slowness of the mind, or sometimes sluggishness of the mind.
sustain
If you do it slowly, it may lead to slowness of the mind or sluggishness of the mind. The mind becomes sluggish, slow, eventually feeling drowsy, sleepy, and so on. So when we practice loving kindness for ourselves, usually we practice loving kindness for ourselves for about 5 minutes. But when we practice loving kindness towards other objects, we strive our best to practice to that object as long as possible. Sometimes we give the instructions to practice loving kindness for one object about 10 minutes. This is only a general instructions. For example, when you practice loving kindness towards your mother, then you feel that you could concentrate your mind very well, and the thoughts of loving kindness getting stronger. There's a feeling of joy, happiness in the mind. Then you may practice loving kindness towards your mother more than 10 minutes, or for example 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and so on. But sometimes you choose an object, for example a friend, as an object of loving kindness. You realize that you could not concentrate the mind well. The mind is a reluctance to reach your friends, to reach that friends. Then you may put aside your friends at that time. So you have been practicing metta more than a day. More than a day, since yesterday afternoon until this evening. You have been practicing metta more than a day. If you do find a good object of metta, for example, you realize that from your sitting meditation, your mother is a good object of metta, your meditation teacher is good object of metta, another friend is a good object of metta. You have these 3 good objects of metta, then you can practice towards these 3 good objects of metta again and again in your sitting meditation or every sitting meditations. Sometimes meditators have good concentration. They may be able to practice metta towards one object for the whole 1 hour of sitting. So if we practice metta in a systematic way, we always begin with a respected person. So we may practice metta towards 5 respected individuals until we have attained deep concentration and strong thoughts of loving kindness. Then we move on to the second group, the dearly loved one. Then we also choose 5 dearly loved one, or 5 individuals whom we love dearly. Practice to every dearly loved one until we have attained deep concentration and strong thoughts of loving kindness. Then we move on to the third group. Then we also do the same thing, choose 5 indifferent ones, practice to them one by one until we have attained deep concentration and strong thoughts of loving kindness. Then we move on to the 4th groups. But here we are practicing vipassana meditation. This is vipassana meditation retreat. So we practice metta, loving kindness as a support to the practice of vipassana meditation. it's quite difficult to practice loving kindness to all these four categories of individuals and attain deep concentration. But you wish to gain more and more experiences in the practice of metta, then you have to go. You have to join a longer intensive metta retreats. Longer metta retreats, for example, a minimum of 1 month, 2 months, and so on. So when you could practice metta well and attain very deep concentration and strong thoughts of loving kindness, then you may gain the benefits of practicing metta. So to gain these benefits, meditators have to attain deep concentration and strong thoughts of loving kindness, and also attain a state of breaking down the barriers. Breaking down the barriers means meditators, you no longer make a distinction. This person I dislike, this person I love very much. No longer makes these distinctions or differentiate in that way. In other words, if loving kindness meditators are successful in the practice, then the loving kindness meditators, you think everyone, every individual is lovable. There's no more feeling of indifference towards certain individuals. There's no more feeling of hatred towards certain individuals. So loving kindness meditators who are successful in the practice will be able to develop equally strong loving kindness towards every individual, every group of people, all beings. So at that time, loving kindness meditators will gain 11 benefits of practicing metta. But based on experiences of many meditators, many loving kindness meditators, if they could practice every day, even for half an hour or 1 hour, for a period of time, they may be able to gain most of the benefits. So the first benefits of metta is loving kindness meditators falls asleep happily. So when the second benefit, loving kindness meditators wake up happily or cheerfully.
ประการที่สอง
Loving kindness meditators will not dream any fearful dreams or bad dreams, evil dreams. One cannot sleep well, could be due to hot temperaments. So we say hot temperaments mean full of anger, getting angry easily, and so on. So if you could not sleep well, you have a lot of fearful dreams. For example, your enemies chasing after you, or robbers coming to harm you, or wild animals are chasing after you. May be due to the results of called anger or dosa. Once there was a devata asked the Buddha in verse, having slain what, does one sleep soundly? Having slain what, does one not sorrow? What's the one thing, O Gotama, whose killing you approve for? So do you think the Buddha will approve any kinds of killing?
นะคะ
Do you think the Buddha will approve any kinds of killing? So the Buddha
just killing for the dosa, for the anger.
So the Buddha answer, having slain anger, one sleeps soundly. Having slain anger, one does not sorrow. The killing of anger, O Devata, with its poisoned roots and honey tip. This the killing the noble one's praise. For having slain that, one does not sorrow. So the result of anger is always suffering. It never be happy. That's why it is said that anger has a poison root. And then anger has a honey tip. Honey tip. Honey, the taste of honey always sweet. But do you
รส
think?
ชาติมันหวาน
But do you think anger tastes sweet? It will never taste sweet.
นะ
But here the Buddha say anger has a honey tip. Because willings take pressure. Pressure will arise when one returns anger with anger. Abuse returns abuse with abuse. So when the worldlings quarrel, they may abuse each others, for example, with the foul words. So they find pressures in speaking foul words to each others. It's because they do not know what is sorrow, what is suffering. Then the next benefit, number 4, loving kindness meditators loved by humans. The fifth benefit, loving kindness meditators also become dear to non-humans. Number 6, loving kindness meditators are protected by the devas. Number 7, loving kindness meditator is protected from the dangers caused by fire, weapons and poisons. The mind of loving, the next benefit on number 8, the mind of loving kindness meditators is able to concentrate easily, becoming composed easily. That's why this benefit is very much helpful to the practice of mindfulness meditation, vipassana meditation. Then number 9, the expression of the face is always clear and serene. Then number 10, the second last benefit, the loving kindness meditators in the last moment of life, the mind will not be confused. The last benefit, if loving kindness meditators have not yet attained the highest stage of enlightenment, arahantship, then the loving kindness meditators will be born as a Brahma. So the loving kindness meditators will gain these benefits, the good effect of practicing loving kindness. Then whenever practicing loving kindness meditation, some meditators may think, will the object of loving kindness be able to receive my thoughts of loving kindness? So do you think that your thoughts of loving kindness will reach your object of loving kindness? Do you think your thoughts of loving kindness will reach your object of loving kindness? In other words, your object of loving kindness will be able to receive your thoughts of loving kindness. So sometimes some meditators worry that will my object of loving kindness be able to receive my thoughts of loving kindness? Will they able to get any benefits from my practice? So in the teaching of Buddha, there are many stories telling that the objects of loving kindness gain much benefit. Metta just like what called cooling wind or cooling air. For example, if this meditation hall is not air conditioned, then how do you feel? You may feel very warm, very hot.
ไม่สบาย
Then eventually there will be feeling of dosa, anger, aversion arising. But when the aircon is turned on, then the heat is gone. You feel the cooling wind or cooling air. So similarly, metta has a cooling effect, not only to your own mind, but it also can affect others. So during the Buddha's time, at that time Buddha was traveling to Kusinara with his disciple monk, totaling 1,250. So at that time, the prince of Mara, hearing the news of Buddha coming to visit the Kusinara, so the prince was thinking how to welcome and receive the Buddha. Then the prince of Mala decided to issue a royal statement. It means they give a command. All the people in the country must come to welcome and receive the Buddha and his disciple monk. If anyone did not turn up to welcome and receive the Buddha, they will be punished with a fine. The fine is of 500 pieces of money. So at that time, there's this man by the name of Roja. Roja is a good friend of Venerable Ananda. So when Venerable Ananda saw him, came to welcome and pay respect to the Buddha, he was Venerable Ananda was very happy or delighted. So Venerable Ananda might say, "Oh, so nice! You come to receive the Buddha. I'm rejoicing over your coming," and so on. It is similar to saying like sadhu sadhu, the feeling of mudita. But Roja say that I come out to meet the Buddha not because I have a great respect and reverence for the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. So Roja say, I come out to meet the Buddha not because I have great respect and reverence to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, but because I fear I have to pay the fine of 500 pieces of money if I do not come to receive the Buddha or to welcome the Buddha and his disciple. So when Venerable Ananda heard about it, he was like quite disappointed. He thought like he thought Roja was quite rude or not polite to say that. He was totally ignorant of the merits, of the benefits of the paying homage to the Buddha. He also lost the highest opportunity to gain the highest what benefits. So what is the highest benefits of going to the Buddha? What is the highest benefits if one has the chance to meet the Buddha? In the teaching, the highest benefits is able to learn from the Buddha directly, receiving the meditation subject directly from the Buddha, and leads to attainment of enlightenment or cessation of suffering. That's why the scriptures and the scriptures and the commentaries say that the Buddha is the best Kalyanamitta for the all beings. The best Kalyanamitta for all the beings. We cannot be the best Kalyanamitta to anyone like the Buddha. So Venerable Ananda decided to see the Buddha and hope Buddha could help to bring this Roja to the teachings of the Buddha. So the Buddha say, the best way is by the thoughts of metta. Usually the Buddha would develop the thoughts of loving kindness equally to all beings. But on this special occasion, Buddha directed all the thoughts of loving kindness only to Roja. So similarly, at the beginning of practice, you may have to direct the thoughts of loving kindness to a person or to an individual. So when you can practice the thoughts of loving kindness towards one individual, by right you gain better concentration and stronger thoughts of loving kindness. So similarly, the Buddha directed all the thoughts of loving kindness only to Roja. So at that time, what was the reactions of the Roja? What was the reactions of the Roja? So at that time, the immediate reaction is the strong feelings of reverence occur in his mind. Strong feelings of reverence or respect occur in his mind. Strong feeling of as if Roja at that time has a strong affections and devotions towards the Buddha. The story say that just like the newly born calf has strong affections, love towards the mother cow. So at that time, Roja has a strong intention or desire to see the Buddha. So there are many kutis in the monastery. When Roja was searching from one kuti to next kuti, looking for the Buddha. Then one of the bhikkhus, one of the monks, show him the way to the place where the Buddha was staying. So Roja met the Buddha and pay homage or reverence to the Buddha with full devotion. So the Buddha taught him the Dharma, the wholesome Dharma, the practice of dana, sila, bhavana, and so on. So by listening to these teachings, the Roja established firm confidence in the triple gems. In the words, he attained the first stage of enlightenment. When we read the scriptures, we may come across that the disciples of those the Buddha's time attain enlightenment while listening to the teaching of the Buddha. It doesn't mean that they do not have to meditate, but because they were endowed with perfect paramis and sharp mental faculties. So while listening to the teaching of the Buddha and the instructions, they also started to be mindful or meditate on their mind and bodily phenomena. So because they are endowed with perfect paramis and sharp mental faculties, they attain enlightenment at that time. But nowadays, there are some teachings say that one does not have to practice meditation in order to attain the first stage enlightenment. Nowadays, there are some teachers say that one does not have to meditate or practice mindfulness meditation in order to attain the first stage of enlightenment, because they interpret the word sota. Sotapanna means the noble ones who have attained the first stage of enlightenment is known as sotapanna. They take the word sota as hearing, or sota has a meaning of hearing. So some teachers say that by hearing one can attain the first stage of enlightenment.
Yep.
So they do not know that the word sota means enter the streams, or the streams of the noble eightfold path.
The
streams of noble eightfold path. So one who enter these streams definitely will go upwards, will never go downwards again. So there was the power of the metta of the Buddha.
For Roja.
There was the power of the metta of the Buddha.
อ๋อที่
So similarly, you practice your metta well. Slowly the object of loving kindness, you also will be touched by your thoughts of metta. You will be touched.
retouch
Touching. Touched by the. Just like your friend, sometimes your friend is touched by your sweet words, your encouragements, your helps, your good thoughts, and so on. So similarly, you practice metta well towards the objects. The object eventually will be touched by your thoughts of metta. So the most important point is to develop the thoughts of metta repeatedly, again and again. Do not expect quick results. Of course, there may be some object cannot be touched by your metta. Just like Devadatta can never be touched by the great compassion of the Buddha. But most important is by your own practice of metta, you overcome your danger, your own danger caused by the dosa. So I wish all meditators have firm confidence in the practice of metta bhavana, so that you gain all these benefits and also becomes a supportive condition to make progress in the practice of vipassana meditation till the attainment of enlightenment.